Hello everyone, and welcome to the ever wonderful Macau, one of the trickiest circuits on any motorsports calendar. And we're here for the final round of the REMUS GT3 Championship here on RaceRoom. My name is, of course, ReMuS, and I'll be joined by Shmee himself in a couple of moments' time. So it will both be me and Shmee commentating on proceedings here on the English stream here today. But before we get into that, let's just recap not only last race, but what the entire season has been like up until this point. As the car's feeling very wiggly indeed. Long hold before we get ourselves green here at Spa as the drivers all fan out down in towards turn number one. It's been a good start from pole position from Moritz Lohner. He'll lead them down in towards turn number one. Big challenge for P2 between Isaac Bryce and Martin Barner there. As Florian Hasse moving to the inside and his teammate almost three wide, heading their way down in towards Lecombe, but they'll be able to get themselves that all negotiated. Has thankfully got himself this part. He's rubbing doors with Florian Hasse trying to squeeze through. They're going to be absolutely level on the way into the Michael Schumacher S here. Oh, this can get sketchy, but Maximilian Santos has been able to make it work. Into turn one, this might be potentially be a bit of a mess down in towards turn number one here, side by side between the two teammates. The three wide behind with Kunzer in the middle of all of it. Oh, they're all able to recover though, as they'll take the fight to turn two. Again, still three wide between all of them here. On the way into turn three now. Kunzer has been able to get ahead of Rodriguez. Pfeiffer is involved in the thick of things as well. He looks to try and get in a whole bunch out of this one. It's a whole bunch of confusion for the first sector for the first time. He's just thought, oh, 3 points for me then. And now he'll challenge around the outside of Lucas Muller in through that middle sector. They're almost banged doors between the two Bentleys. Coming up in towards turn number 7 now. Struggling to keep a hold of those cars. The car's feeling very wiggly indeed. Price continuing to hound the back of these guys, trying to find a slot down the inside here in towards the penultimate corner. The two Bentleys are still door to door, still making contact as well through the final corner. Primro will be able to keep himself ahead, but Xian has been particularly impressive so far in this event. We'll see three wide on the way through the penultimate corner. There's contact on the inside between the two teammates there as they all somehow squeeze their way through just fine. There was so much leaning going on between all those cars. It might continue on down the pit straight as well. Gian's going to try and come back out after Vianney here on the way up in towards turn number 6. There's a little bit of a squeeze from Vianney towards the inside, but allows Xian the space. But Xian gets into his into his rear left and sends him into the wall on the way into turn 1. That's not usually the opportunity you would go for unless you are reliably able to carry the momentum through. And it looks like Christopher Hoogfeld he now has a slight overlap in towards turn number 3, which is the preferred line through here. He gets a car length ahead. He regains P number 1. Was not expecting to get the race win from the reverse grid pole, but well, not expecting to hold on to that position either, as Wittberg's able to slide his way through up into P4. Potentially through on the inside there, although Bastian's still going to try and hang it around the outside here. So despite it being a teammate, he still wants to try and fight wheel to wheel, but looks like Jones has been able to get the speed off of that particular sequence of the corners. And now here comes Ben Spunky looking down the inside of Bastian. He knows he can't afford to get held up behind him, and that is a very good opportunistic move. Well, that was a look there at what has happened over the course of this season, and well, it's been a pretty interesting one, to put it at that, especially with those reverse grid races as our second race of each race day here. No different here for the finale though. Same sort of format as we've had throughout the season, so we'll get ourselves to 20-minute sprint races, and well, that's the second of those two races will be a full reverse grid on the results of race number 1. So that's if you're unfamiliar with the way things work here in the REMUS GT3 Championship. it can be very, very tricky for those cars that get the bad end of the reverse grid to try and get themselves back through the field and up into a more healthy point-paying position. Speaking of points, though, let's take a look at them then, because, well, both teams were tied coming into today. Well, not into today, into the penultimate round, excuse me. Of course, we've had that gotten out of the way now, and there is the how the points stack up between the two teams. If you're unfamiliar with the championship, the entire field is divided into two teams. One of them's Team Shmee, and one of them is Team Malmedie. And, well, we will get more information on that a little bit later on. We've also got a Drivers' Championship as well. And, of course, we have a guest driver championship to be concerned about as well. So basically 3 different championships in one championship here in this one. You can see Team Shmee are narrowly ahead at this point. Very, very close. Just 21 points there ahead in the standings. So things can very much go either way here today. You see Jack Keithley there. He's currently leading the Drivers' Championship for Team Shmee. He's got 358 points, but you can see there's tied for second place in terms of Drivers' Championship between Marco Pejic and Christopher Högfeldt as well. They're both on 351 points, so only a handful of points adrift of your Drivers' Championship leader as well. We'll try and keep you up to date as much as possible with regards to how the championship order is looking over the course of the 2 races here today. But I'm certainly very, very excited to be able to get things going here in a handful of moments. We've got ourselves the practice session going on at the moment as the drivers try to sort of get some last-minute preparation in to make sure they're going to be able to, one, keep it on the track here and not hit a wall. I think it's probably the best advice anyone's going to give at Macau. This is such a tricky circuit. There's parts of the circuit are only 7 meters wide, so it's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze if someone decides to go wheel to wheel through some portions at this racetrack. And obviously there's been additional regulations being added to this event as well by the race administrators. It's due to the fact that they don't want to have the track blocked. I don't think anyone would really want to have the track blocked here in this situation, but there's no overtaking from exit Donna Maria 2 all the way down until the small left after Melko. So there's a section of this track where the drivers are not allowed to get themselves side by side. So that's sort of coming through that sort of tight, twisty, sort of start of the final sector area between turns 18 and turns 20. Those are the points where drivers will not be allowed to attempt to overtake because of the risk of a track blockage being so incredibly high. So that's one thing that the drivers will have to keep in mind here. And but there's a championship on the line, not only one championship but 3 championships with the teams, the drivers and the guest starters as well. So you have to strike the balance between going as quickly and as 110% as possible and also conserving both your own race and, of course, your team's effort as well, as we'll see. One of the Team Malmedie cars had their way through this sort of tight and twisty section on the way down the hill in towards the turn 19 hairpin, or out of the turn 19 hairpin, excuse me, as they'll swing their way through and again trying to avoid those walls on both left and right hand sides here. If someone has a big incident at this circuit, well, there's not a lot of room for them to go whatsoever, as this is the driver of Mark Garsner that we're watching for Team Malmedie at the moment, with only a minute and a half left here of the practice session. We are certainly very, very excited to see what is to come. If you're confused about, well, who's representing which team, then, well, the blue cars are going to be the Team Shmee cars for this evening, and the green cars are going to be the Team Malmedie cars. So that's a very easy way to be able to tell the difference between the two. It's a little bit harder to tell the difference between individual drivers, I'll give you that, but we will try to attempt and help you as much as possible when we pull that standings on the left-hand side, and you'll see a slight driver sticking out, and that's the current car that the camera is focused on. So that will try and get your bearings a little bit more to try and work out who is who. We've got about 35 seconds of practice here at the moment, and drivers, well, we're really needing all the practice they can get to make sure they can get around even one lap here at Macau. I doubt I can even do that if you got me out there on circuit. So to be able to do, well, not only one but two sprint races here, it's going to be a very, very big ask. Of course, it's a very big ask in the real world as well. So many incidents here at this circuit. Unfortunately, there have been fatal incidents here at this circuit, but of course that's not possible here in the sim racing side of things, thankfully. But practice time has now expired here at Macau before we get ourselves changed over into qualifying mode. It's going to be a bit tricky to try and get yourself a qualifying lap in here. Of course, you're getting your lap time invalidated pretty easily if you have bits of contact with the walls over the course of the lap. But of course, you've got to try and find your own little bit of road, your own little bit of space to work in as well, as qualifying has now indeed started. It's Mark Gassner that leads them coming off of pit lane in, well, in tow well, his teammates in tow, shall we say, with a couple of Team Shmee cars also falling in line there. So drivers just trying to work on trying to get their own bit of space to run in. Of course, there are some situations where you prefer to run a little bit behind your teammates in some slipstream change to be able to get the fastest lap time possible. Of course, here at this track, it's going to be very, very tough to do, and you can see why as Gassner clips the wall coming through the right-hander there, and well, continuing on. And drivers, well, they do have to be concerned about damage here. There's the damage is set to realistic, so any too heavy clips with the wall, and all of a sudden you'd be finding that maybe your steering alignment is all out of shape, and you get yourself some bits of bodywork damage as well, which certainly does not help the pace of the car. So lots of things to be looking out for here at Macau. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in the chat as well. Someone says, so how many races have there been up to this point? I'm new around here and to the sim racing scene. Well, we're very glad that you're able to join us here for this one. As well, we've had 5 races up until this point. This is the 6th race of 6. It's the finale of the season, and well, again, if you're new to the championship, the field is separated out into 2 teams. Team Shmee, Team Malmedie. There's also a Drivers' Championship and a Guest Drivers' Championship as well. So there's a lot to keep track of here in this one. Maybe a little bit more to keep track of than your average sim racing competition. So got to keep that all in mind. So you might see a battle for the Drivers' Championship maybe at the very front of the field, but then maybe some guest starters a little bit further down the order are also trying to fight for their positions as well. Some people saying, where is Shmee? Well, Shmee's currently on the German stream. He'll be joining us here on the English stream in just a handful of moments' time. So once we get into the race, we'll be able to get ourselves started there for that one, as we'll get ourselves all set here for qualifying. Of course, still on their outlaps here, so they'll be able to swing through and start their flying laps. Of course, 10-minute session, you'll be able to get yourself, well, a handful of flying laps in here. But again, you got to remember, you got to make sure that your lap is not deleted due to any, well, not off tracks here, but maybe bits of contact with the wall. So soon we'll be able to get ourselves all set, all ready, all racing for the final round of the season. 2 races here today, this evening, and I'm certainly all here for it. We'll get to see Shmee in the house in a couple of moments' time. Of course, he's still trying to finish up on the German stream. He'll be joining us here on the English stream in just a handful of moments' time. So while we watch these drivers continue to try and cycle their way around on their first laps of qualifying, I do have to step away for just a couple of moments to sort out a technical issue. But enjoy the cars for the moment. I'll be right back. Back into the action then. Of course, drivers on their flying laps here. Here's Axel Vermeulen heading his way through towards, well, potentially a pretty quick lap time here in qualifying. Of course, no one's set themselves a time here just yet, as perhaps we'll get ourselves the one, the only, Mr. Shmee on the broadcast. Shmee, are you there?
I am here. Hello, how are you doing? It's great to be over here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got ourselves qualifying underway at the moment, Shmee. So the first flying laps are starting to get themselves through. Is currently Jack Keithley on the provisional pole position at the moment. And we were just talking a little bit before you came on about how tricky this racetrack is. You know, it's at its narrowest point, it's only 7 meters wide in between barriers. You thought Monaco was pretty tasty with the walls. Here, Macau, probably its equal.
Absolutely. So I was just over on the German language stream, of course, before, and I was checking out Matthias's track guide for the circuit around Macau, and it really is something, that place. And obviously, overtaking opportunities are a challenge, and the fact that we have this reverse grid for the two races today is going to really, I think, hot it up a little bit to see if, you know, what tactics can be deployed, how this can be played, and ultimately lead towards the result as it's going to be.
Of course, your team, the boys in blue out there, we're currently watching a few of the Malmedie cars cycle their way through at the moment, but your team currently has a slim advantage in terms of the head-to-head championship between yourself and Malmedie. Are you a bit nervous as a result? Because this one really could go either way.
It is unbelievably close. It's been amazing to see going through the 5 rounds to this point, and to watch, obviously, the changing of the points and to get to this point. Going into tonight at 2,660 points, 2,639, 21 points in it. That's all we've got. So it's going to be really down to the wire. This is the last race, or the last pair of races, I should say, meaning everything.
Yep, it really is, and well, it might come down to that final reverse grid race as well, which can throw a massive spanner in the works. We're currently having a look at Christopher Högfeldt out there. He's gone purple through Sector 1, so pretty tidy lap time so far here in this one for the Swedish driver. A little bit of a sluggish Sector 2, though, 2 seconds off the pace, so must have made a little bit of a mistake through there that has ruined what was looking to be a pretty decent lap for Christopher Högfeldt, and his teammate going off in front of him, also not exactly ideal, so that's been a bit of a nightmare of a lap for Christopher Högfeldt at the moment. But you'll be very happy to hear this, Shmee. Currently one of your drivers is a provisional pole position. Jack Keithley has that at the moment. He also leads the Drivers' Championship as well. You've got to be happy about that. He heads his way through with a good couple of his teammates. Of course, we've seen this sort of situation in qualifying before. All the teams would, well, love to sort of try and clump themselves together and run together out there on circuit, just trying to slipstream off of each other. And, well, that seems to be the winning recipe in qualifying so far throughout all of the tracks that we've been to this season. Let's see if it's also the winning formula for Macau as well in qualifying. Jack Keithley going faster than his, his best Sector 1 by just 2 thousandths of a second. It's an improvement nonetheless, as Jack Keithley seems to be going rather rapidly out there. Do seem to have lost Team Shmee, Shmee himself at the moment. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but we will try and resolve that as quickly as is feasibly possible. But For the moment, we are coming towards a close here in qualifying. It's, well, just over a minute left. Of course, you will see the results pop up a little bit early. It doesn't necessarily mean that the session is completed. It does give the drivers just that little bit of extra time to be able to try and get themselves their lap in at the very dying moment. So we'll see if there are any last-minute charges through the field in qualifying. We've got Jack Heathley still provisional pole position ahead of Florian Hasse by exactly a third of a second. So Hasse trying to do his best for Team Malmedie in terms of trying to get up into that pole position. He has taken the toe back to pit lane, however, so he will not be taking any further part here in qualifying. Ben Spunky out there, third place at the moment. He's going to slow it up. He's not going to improve on his lap time either. So those are the results. You might see a little bit of shuffling here towards the end of the season, of the session, but it is Jack Heathley that gets a pole position, and he does improve on his lap time at the very dying moments there. More shuffling around there down towards the outside of the top 10. And there we go. We've got ourselves Marco Pajic up to P5 there as Jack Heathley pole position. Florian Hasse second place. We've got Christopher Hugveld will be third on the starting grid with Ben Spunky in fourth, Marco Pajic in fifth, Emre Trian in sixth, and Michael Rochel in seventh. And you can see the rest of the names slowly but surely cycling their way through down to P26. So 26 cars will hopefully be taking the start here today. Do we have Shmee back or not, I wonder? So it doesn't seem that that technical issue has been resolved just yet, but we will keep you up to date with regards to that in over the course of this one. But we've got ourselves a little bit of a break, though, in between the qualifying and the race. So we've got about 7 minutes for the drivers to sort of calm down a little bit after that qualifying session and get themselves prepared for the first race. And what a hectic first lap it potentially might be, because that's where everyone's going to be all clumped together, and that's such a tight and twisty circuit that can be a very, very big cause for concern. Well, here we go. We've got ourselves 5 minutes and 30 seconds left here of the warm-up session. Our qualifying has come to its conclusion with Jack Heathley on pole position. And, well, we can just try and get ourselves another attempt at getting getting Shmee himself. Shmee, I think it's the fourth time lucky. Still a little bit muted on the Discord. So if we can get the audio through there, I can see him actively talking on the VMix call, but on the video link that we have here. But hopefully we can get ourselves him on the Discord as well. Let's try another attempt at that one. If we can see once he's ready. There we go. Wonderful smile at the moment. He's not live on the feed, but I can see it on my preview. But either way, this is shaping up to be two fantastic races that we're going to have here in just a handful of moments' time. Of course, first race, 20 minutes. Grid based on the results of qualifying. That's as normal as any sim race as you can get. But for the second race, again, 20 minutes, full reverse grid. Shmee, I heard a little bit of audio. I wonder if we'll get ourselves all connected up here in just a few moments.
Are we back?
There we go.
Can you
we
hear?
are back. Yay!
Yay! We got there. My apologies for the technical issues we've been having at this end. So I've got some catching up to do. How are we? Where are we at?
We're in the warm-up session at the moment between qualifying and the race. So You missed the last bit of qualifying, unless you're able to see that on the German stream. I'm not sure, but you'll be happy with the fact that that Jack Heathley, one of your drivers, has gotten himself onto pole position for this one. And let's see our wonderful faces here. Not sure if anyone wants to see my face, but I think everyone wants to see Shmee's face. How's it going? It seems like things are relatively equal, at least as far as that qualifying session was concerned. So this is really touch and go for both teams.
I mean, this is the thing, right? We're really coming down to the wire with everything here, with the qualifying obviously setting up the grid for race 1. But it's not just about race 1 tonight. It's about how the pair of races are going to impact the championship standings. And at the end of the evening, we're going to have both a victorious team and a victorious driver in the championship, which is, well, quite exciting. I'm kind of on edge waiting to see what happens now.
Of course, we can have a little bit of a recap of the point situation here. It is a 21-point advantage that Team Shmee has in the head-to-head battles, but it's only a 7-point advantage for Jack Heathley, back to 2 drivers that have tied on points at the moment. That's Marco Behic and Christopher Högfeldt. So both the head-to-head championships and the drivers' championships are so incredibly close. What would be your advice to your drivers here, Shmee? Because, of course, Jack Heathley will want to be fighting with Högfeldt for the drivers' championship, that's for sure. But also, you've got this team situation to be concerned about as well. How do you balance that? What would be your advice?
I think at this stage, the whole grid and the 2 teams are pretty much going to have to sit back and work out the tactics in terms of how to handle this particular track. We're talking a track, as you were saying earlier, which is very, very narrow in parts, very hard to overtake, and very easy for things to quickly go upside down. So I think the critical thing here is that everybody, performs well, but keeps it hopefully pointing in the right direction and getting towards the end of the race. And for Jack, for example, out on top at the moment, both in the Drivers' Championship but also on pole for the race, it's going to come down to keeping that for race 1 and then doing the best possible in the reverse grid and making the most of the opportunities to overtake and get back up towards the top.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle here today. I did say at the very start of the broadcast that Race Control have put in an additional regulation into this race, saying no overtaking between turn 18 and turn 20 towards the end of the lap, where you have that really, really tight sort of double hairpin sequence. So no side-by-side through there, otherwise there might be a penalty coming for drivers that do attempt to try and overtake through there. That's just to make sure that we reduce the chance of a situation of a track blockage, which has happened many times here before, not only in sim racing, but in the real world as well. It does happen.
Yeah, for sure. When you have corners that are as tight as they get there and as narrow as they get there, all it takes is one small little slight hiccup, a car touched diagonally in the track, and everybody else is going to be piling into the back of them. So let's hope for none of that. Let's hope for a clean race. Let's hope for an exciting race, a pair of races.
Yeah, that's certainly what I'm hoping for as well. Things are so equal in all the championships that we have going on here for the moment. We will attempt to keep you up to date with regards to the current state of the championship as much as we can throughout the race. We do have, well, at least I have a live point spreadsheet that's accessible to me, and maybe I can link that to Shmee as well. But we'll try and keep you up to date with regards to that over the course of this one. But yeah, tension's going to be a little bit higher as we head towards the final 20 seconds of this warm-up session now, as it's just that little bit of an opportunity, Shmee, to be able to get your mind in the right sort of state for this first race, because this could potentially be chaotic, especially on the first lap.
For sure. I mean, most of the drivers, of course, have taken part in the previous 5 rounds of the championship, so they've got a pretty good understanding of each other and obviously of what they need to do. But as we're seeing there, this circuit is not forgiving. There is very, very, very little room or margin for error as the drivers make their way around. And I'm sitting here kind of fascinated to see exactly how this is going. Of course, I've got a vested interest in Team Shmee150 taking the crown, as well as the drivers, as the cars are going to be heading out in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have transitioned over into the race server, and well, drivers will take themselves to the starting grids. We've got 2 races left of the season of the REMUS GT3 Championship for 2021. simulator that we're using, of course, is RaceRoom, and let's see if we can get some fantastic racing here at Macau for this final round. It is a very, very interesting stage to have as a final round, but I'm certainly all here for it. You can see the drivers in the distance lining up on the starting grid here. We've got a minimum of, or rather a maximum of 15 seconds before we go racing here today. Jack Keithley in the Team Shmee Bentley lines himself up on pole position. We're about to go racing for the penultimate time here in the REMUS GT3 Championship for 2021. The green flag is out. We are racing here at Macau. Hassa has had a lightning start from P2. He's able to take the race lead coming through turn number 1, but it's still a long run down in towards turn number 2 as the field fans out behind them. Banky and Payic a little bit deeper in line, trying to sort themselves out. We're going to see bits of side by side a little bit further down through the order, through that fast right-hander, and now down the straight once again as Hassa trying to hold on to the race lead. Jack Keithley looking to try to challenge around the outside through the right, but he's not able to squeeze through. What a start from Hassa that puts that Malmedie Audi up to the front of the field.
This is amazing to see. Of course, we've got the two teams going at it, but with Team Malmedie out in front, in hot pursuit behind that, the three Team Shmee cars before a flurry of green running up behind them. My eyes obviously on the team element of this and how everyone's going to work together. You know, very important for the three running between P2 and P4 to keep it together and to try and, I guess, work together to get out towards the front.
Yeah, absolutely is. Like I said, multiple championships going on at the same time. Drivers' Championship, the head-to-head championship, the guest driver championship. We haven't paid much attention to that one over the course of the season due to guest drivers dropping in and out as they please. Yeah, first lap still underway here at Macau as they'll try to find their way through the very, very tight and twisty sections here at this circuit. And, well, you can see why it's so tricky to go side by side here, because you could barely get two cars abreast at some points at this circuit. So you can understand the additional regulation that the stewards have had to put in for the very tightest bits of the circuit. This is one of them through the hairpin at turn number 19, and then you swing things down into turn 20 in just a couple of moments. But well, that was turn 20. I'm getting my corner numbers mixed up a little bit there, Shmee. That was turn 20 as they'll head their way through the final couple of corners now, and Hassa still leads from Jack Keithley. If you're a little bit confused about which driver is which, of course, Team Shmee is in the blue cars, Malmedie's in the green cars, and you can see which driver the cameras are focused on at the moment as a little bit of an indented name on that standings tower on the left-hand side.
The two up front are really running right bumper to bumper here, aren't they? But then we've got this full single file line almost, the way the circuit leans itself.
Yeah, it is incredible, and well, towards the end of this first sector is probably one of your better overtaking opportunities at this circuit, and Jack Keithley is certainly going to, well, show the nose down into the right, but Hassa, a very experienced driver here on RaceRoom. So is Jack Keithley, to be fair. These two have had their own fair share of great battles over the course of the years here in RaceRoom Esports, and we might see the same again here today. But Hassa just sort of managing the pace at the very front at the moment. He knows where he needs to defend and where all the likely overtaking spots are, and that's, well, the strategy that he's going for to try and win this race. There's not much strategy in races like this, Shmee, due to the fact that we do not have any pit stops.
No, it's a 20-minute race to the finish line, right? It's really all or nothing, a bit of a sprint, you could say. Pressure on, though, no margin for error. If you make a mistake, that puts your race in jeopardy.
Really does. So we'll step away from the very front of the field at the moment just to have a little bit of a look down through the order to see what's going on here. But of course, with the teams championship, it's the top 8 drivers in each team that scored themselves points for their team. So currently it's Florian Hassa leading from Team Malmedie, but the problem is for Team Malmedie is that there's Team Shmee cars in 2nd, 3rd and 4th place at the moment. However, oh no, Marko Pejic, no, he spins through the hairpin. There's a track blockage and it's all the Malmedie cars stacked up nose to tail. Pejic takes the tow back to pit lane, but this is an opportunity for the Team Shmee cars to break into the green wall inside of the top 10. I might have jinxed it there, Shmee.
I was trying to work out exactly what was going on, what was happening. We ran into exactly, as we were saying, the big risk that comes with racing here at Macau, and we've now got a grid that's completely shuffled around up towards the top end. Obviously, the front 4 escaping through all of that, and P5 now sitting with quite a big gap, quite a big interval to P4. So I guess the 4 runners up front now running away with it, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens behind them.
2 by 2 on the way through there. This is the bottom end of the top 10. Pfeiffer, Tiviani, Gassner, all involved in this one. The big beneficiary out of all of that was Michael Rachel. He launches himself up a good couple positions up into P7 now, so that'll help out Team Shmee a lot. It was an unforced error from Marko Pejic, just a simple solo car incident into the tightest section there is, and there's another car off. Krippner's made a mistake, and this is more points going the way of Team Shmee. Oh, with the numbers inside the top 10 earlier on, you would have thought Team Shmee would be narrowly ahead, but now it's all coming apart from them in race 1.
This is, yeah, you know, the Malmedie cars, I was anxiously biting my nails at what was going to happen with how much green there was up towards the very front of the grid, but it's just become very, very interesting now. And it's obviously a very complex calculation to try and work out all of the points, and I cannot wait to see how this is going to end. But for the time being, come on, Team Shmee150.
I'm seeing them like race controller actively updating the spreadsheet I'm looking at right now, so I can't give you the order as it stands right now. But hopefully in a couple of minutes' time, we'll be able to have a little bit of an idea of how this race has gone for both of the 2 teams here today. So yeah, drama inside of the top 10 there. Let's hop back towards the race lead, because it is still Florian Hasse that leads for Team Malmedie, but we would have thought with that big incident inside the top 10, then Malmedie would have dropped a lot of points at this stage. So Hasse doing his level best to try and sort of put the team on his shoulders at the moment, but Keithley's giving him a good run here, and he's got a whole train of Team Shmee cars behind him. So Hasse, despite potentially on the cards for a race win here in race 1, Malmedie as a team might not be looking so pretty.
You see here how that big old Bentley manages to really pull some speed down the fast sections. Tails back, but we have, what, a 7-second gap between P4 P5. Quite the interval. These guys really running away, but the pressure being kept on Hasse at the front there by Keithley, and obviously this is just really, really close racing right now.
Yeah, it is, and well, it's kind of been like this for the vast majority of races that we've had this season. It's been so incredibly close. Not just, you know, in race 2s where we get the reverse grid races and having the fast drivers try to work their way through. It's been like this in race 1s as well. So it's absolutely fantastic racing in the REMUS GT3 Championship, and well, sometimes at tracks like this, where you would have thought it would be a bit of a struggle to have some fantastic racing. So so it's fantastic to see that, as Florian Hasse maintaining that race lead for now. He's doing all that he needs to do at the very front of this field for his particular effort in not only the Teams Championship, but of course the Drivers' Championship as well. He currently sits in 3rd place in the, well, technically 4th place in the Drivers' Championship, considering he has the tie between 2 drivers ahead of him. But still, within a shot of the championship is Florian Hasse. That's why he feels the need to have this sort of go-forward attitude, because even if Malmedie are struggling in terms of points at the moment, he has his own drivers' league to be concerned about.
There's a lot that can happen when it comes to the Drivers' Championship this evening. It really is all up for grabs, you could say, in terms of a slip up by one of the guys currently up towards the top end, and anybody right up there could make it their own. We've got very, very, very small gaps in the points between the leading drivers, I should say.
Yeah, and with this race being the way it is at the moment, I do have some updated points. So, oh, careful through the hairpin. That was Leonard Krippner having a bit of an issue in the Malmedie Bentley, and now Luciano Vitto in the Porsche is looking to try and come through on him, but limited opportunities here towards the end of the lap. Points though, Shmee. We've got ourselves Team Shmee on 2,955, Team Malmedie 2,642. It's a big, almost 250 point swing in the favor of Shmee at the moment with what's happened in this race so far.
You are not going to see me complaining about that, but as we well know, in motorsport, anything can happen. If we haven't learned that after the weekend just prior, we haven't been paying enough attention. So this could really come down to the last lap of the last race to see exactly how the points are going to be distributed.
So what you're saying is we need a safety car, and we need to bunch everyone back up. We go one lap sprint at the end, and then I mean.
Well, I'm not going to lie if I said other than that the atmosphere in Abu Dhabi on Sunday evening was quite dramatic and tense. But you know, right now it's feeling good. It's feeling strong for Team Shmee. It's feeling like the guys are putting in the effort that they need. And if we can go into the very final of the 12 races with that kind of margin, with that kind of swing in our favour, that looks very promising. And obviously, fingers crossed for Keith Lee as well to be able to make some good progress in the last race and hopefully take the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, Keith Lee still leads that at the moment, despite the second place. He's on 409 points as it stands. The closest contender to him is still Christopher Högfeldt, who's in third place. And then you've got Florian Hasse, who currently leads this race. He's third in the championship at the moment. So that's the situation there as far as drivers are concerned. We are in towards the second half of the race now, as of course we've had that one very big incident. I don't think we've had that many others. We've had two retirements over the course of this race. We've got Lucas Müller and Marco Pejic. Of course, Pejic we saw have that big spin and track blockage through the hairpin a little bit earlier on in the race. The last driver still running at the moment. I was going to say might have been Louis Delatraz, but I don't think Delatraz is exactly with us, at least from that camera angle's perspective.
Yeah, there's quite the interval there, isn't there? And clocking up every refresh by a few more seconds. So I would suspect he's no longer part of the action. So we've got 23 racers out on the track.
So, of course, hopefully everyone will be back for race number 2. Here's the challenge for the race lead, though, as Hasse trying to defend that P1 and doing a pretty good job at it so far. He's kept himself ahead despite a very, very strong Jack Keithley behind him, trying to pull off moves mainly towards the end of that first sector, using the straight line speed of that Bentley to try and bring itself alongside of the Audi, but not been successful so far. He's gotten close, but Hasse's just had the edge for the moment.
I'm quite enjoying that up front. You know, we've got our 3 championship leaders in the live point standing, running up front, opening those gaps, driving 3 different cars as well, but really, I think pushing each other to get the most out of it. And obviously, this is immensely challenging. It takes a lot of practice to have the ability and skills that these drivers do, and they're really, really pushing hard in this race.
Yeah, it's. I certainly couldn't do this. I said before I couldn't do 1 lap here, let alone enough laps to satisfy a 20-minute race with other cars on track and trying to race for position. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, massive credit to these guys out there. Of course, many of them, you know, they are very familiar names as far as esports on RaceRoom are concerned. I mean, you just look at these top guys: Hasse, Keithley, Högfeldt, Banki, Chian, Bill Sagan. You know, those are all very, very recognizable names, and they're really, really showing what they're made of here. Hasse keeping himself in that race lead. Now he's only got to defend for another 6.5 minutes here, but this is the point of the track where the advantage swings in the favour of that Bentley. The Audi through the fast corners and through the long straights, not quite as good as that Bentley is, but Keithley still hasn't figured out how to try and get past that Audi.
Yeah, it feels like Keithley's trying to work out where the optimum place is to really start closing the gap up. As you notice, every successive lap after these long straights, it's really neck on neck, but around the rest of the circuit it is very, very challenging to be able to try and open up a space and to be able to make anything of it. This is really, really close racing, but this is really close between these two.
This is crazy, crazy stuff.
They're side by side.
They are, as Jack
side by side.
He hits the wall though, and he has to
wow.
slide in behind. Oh my words! And Keithley has to be hoping he doesn't have too much damage to the to that Bentley. Of course, damage is on. It's set to realistic, so you do have to be very, very careful. But oh, that was a big attempt around the outside, and well, perhaps the natural result of going side by side around Macau.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him try it again as we go into the next lap. You know, we're into the closing stages, about to touch into the final quarter of the race, but opportunities now are limited to be able to try and take P1. I mean, P2 and keeping top of the Driver Championship standings is obviously a very strong place to be, and better to finish the race in P2 than risk it all. But it's really, really tight stuff between these two, and I'm looking forward to seeing if we get some kind of action again as they head back round to the more open straights.
You can see how good
between P2 and P3.
Yeah, so Högfeldt as well. Högfeldt, remember, Högfeldt probably wouldn't have too many issues challenging Keithley here if he wants to, because remember, he has Drivers' Championship situations to think about as well. So as long as he doesn't have contact and crash his teammate out, I'm hoping I'm not jinxing it at this point, I'll be completely honest. But yeah, he absolutely has the right to try and get himself involved in this P1, P2 battle at the moment. So you can see how good that Audi was through that tight and twisty section, though. It just pulls out a gap of, well, just over half a second. But this is where Jack Keithley sort of gains it all back, though, towards the end of the lap.
It was really interesting comparing the lines of that run through the hairpins versus the previous lap. On the previous lap, Keithley had a brilliant exit from the last hairpin, which led him into the straight, and that's why we saw it getting quite so close. This time around, Hasse had the better line and managed to pull out and open up a little interval between the drivers, which of course you now see reflecting in the how close they are down the straight. But just looking at that line of the blue cars giving chase to the green up front, and it's really tight stuff, this.
It really is, and Högfeldt looking, well, showing the nose down the inside of Keithley there. No the sting in the move, so to speak, but just letting Keithley know that he's there, and well, he wouldn't be too scared of trying to squeeze through if push comes to shove. So yeah, team allegiances are only worth a certain amount, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can only speak here from the team perspective, but the absolute worst thing that could happen here is the two ending up in a side-by-side situation without enough space here at Macau. And you know, from a team side and from a Drivers' Championship side, that would be a disaster for both involved. So very keen that we can avoid that happening. But obviously, if we can get the race win as a team, we're certainly going to. The guys are certainly going to do whatever they can to make that happen.
We are coming into the dying moments of this race now, though. Only 2.5 minutes left to go, and remember the rule in this series that time expires, and well, that is the final lap. So there's no +1 lap situations that you might see in some other series here. The race ends on the lap that the time expires. So with the lap times being around about 2 minutes 18 seconds, should be the last lap starting next time they head their way through.
So look at this.
Straight.
So the fact that Keithley is held so close to Hasse there, we're going to have the two cars very, very tight as we go through the fast sections. Obviously, this will be his last opportunity to make anything from it, but watch how the catching up happens down here.
That's right on board with Keithley once again. He saw how Hasse just briefly there just slid up against the wall, just caused a couple of sparks. Didn't ruin his momentum whatsoever, but Bentley looking to try and reel him in. And well, you got to be concerned here for Jack Keithley, because maybe not as close as he would have wanted heading his way across the line. And remember, he might have a little bit of damage that he received from hitting the wall a good couple of laps ago the last time he attempted to go side by side. But with the slipstream, he is closing in bit by bit by bit, less than 0.3 of a second now. But is it going to be enough to be able to try and make a move? And well, Here comes Keithley. Start the Jaws music, everyone, as he tries to look to get his way through. A little bit of a move in the braking zone from Hasse, which isn't exactly kosher, but these guys still within a couple of tenths of a second as Hasse, he has a poor exit of the corner, and now Keithley can bring it wheel to wheel. Coming through the end of the first sector, they're absolutely level, and now Keithley has the advantage and has squeezed through. Högfeldt looking to pick up the pieces as well. Crazy.
This is all happening on the last lap. I mean, this is the last lap of the penultimate race, but even still, this is drama, and obviously we're following closely what's happening at the front, and you never know, Högfeldt might feel like there's an opportunity somewhere before the dying stages as well to make it through, but Keithley's out, he's in P1 and opening up a small gap, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with himself for having managed that right at the end.
That was a crazy pass, and well, it was all due to a little bit of a mistake, a little bit of a sluggish exit of the corner from Florian Hasse, and Keithley, he was going to take that opportunity every single day of the week. Hasse, is there an opportunity in the latter portion of this lap? Remember, they're not allowed to get side by side through the tight and twisty section towards the end, and well, that's where the Audi has been so strong. So Hasse, this might have to be just a P2 for the German driver, and well, Högfeldt, maybe through the final couple of corners, might be able to say something if there's another mistake from Florian Hasse. Bit of lap traffic coming up ahead though, a little bit further down the road. You can see the Corvette just getting itself well out of the way. Will not be a factor in this particular battle, but with a last lap pass from Jack Keithley, your championship leader, he's going to bring that Team Shmee Bentley coming through the final corner, coming up towards the line. In the penultimate race, it's all Jack Keithley's, it's all Team Shmee's. They'll take the race win here at Macau for race number 1 after a dramatic finish.
What a last lap. Never look away, but you can see quite how it's down to every millimetre of precision from these guys. One small slip from Hasse, and obviously that was when Keithley pounced and jumped up into P1. What a fantastic race to have watched.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy, and it's a good compliment of Team Shmee cars towards the top of the order. We'll get ourselves our results here in just a handful of moments' time as we wait for the rest of the drivers to head their way through and complete their races. Of course, a lot of these Team Malmedie cars suffering early on due to that track blockage caused by Marko Pejic's spin in the early portions of the race that allowed a handful of Team Shmee cars to be able to get their way through and into the top 10. So with the checkered flag out, last runners hitting their way across the line. Jack Keithley wins from Florian Hasse, from Christopher Högfeldt. There's the top 3 in the championship, top 3 in the standings at the end of race 1. Who are we waiting for at the moment? I think it's both Barner and Manuel Rodriguez are yet to head their way across the line. It's a pretty long lap here in Macau, so it does take a little bit of time to do this. But wow, that's set the stage now for the final race of the season coming up in just a handful of minutes' time. We get ourselves a full reverse grid, remember. Marko Pejic, as a result, will be on pole position, maybe looking for a bit of redemption after what happened in race 1.
It's going to be really, really edge of the seat stuff. The guys obviously know that, as you said, now it's going to be going into the reverse grid. It's going to be all coming down to what happens. And obviously, while it's wonderful for the Team Shmee drivers to have done such a fantastic effort at securing a lot of the top positions, it's all going to come down to the final race.
Yeah, it absolutely is. There's the confirmation of the order. Of course, you know, there are certain stewards processes, stewards reviews that goes on at the end of these races as well. So technically these results are unofficial, but either way, Jack Keithley with the race win, as we'll return to our wonderful faces. And well, obviously, as a team boss there, Shmee, you're going to be pretty happy about that. And there's going to be no headphone taking off and smashing around like Toto Wolff.
No,
you're more like Christian Horner in this situation.
Very, very calm. Of course, we're still going into this final race. Nothing is safe until the very end, until it's done, and even then, in some race series, maybe it isn't even done. That's a totally different topic. In this instance, obviously, it's fantastic to have secured, the win for Team Shmee in terms of the driver and in terms of the team and some points. But it's so possible now for an equal or even, let's say, more disastrous scenario around some of these tight corners for things to go wrong in the second race tonight.
Yeah, and we've typically seen in the reverse grid race more things going wrong because we've got people out of position, drivers towards the back of the order trying to get as many passes done for track position as possible, and of course, we don't have a longer race for this reverse grid, so there's a lot of time pressure on those drivers as well. So that all those factors are sort of influencing this and just sort of making me slightly worried. I think I'll be completely honest. It's a very high potential for incidents here in this race, but hopefully everyone's able to get clean through at least on that first lap, and we can have a fantastic event at the very end, and maybe, who knows, Malmedie can try and find their way some way back into this.
For sure. I mean, you're always with the reverse grid going to end up with the guys who are the fastest on this particular circuit being at the back, and with overtaking being as challenging as it is. And we've seen, obviously, how many laps it took for Keith Lee to overtake Hasse there towards the end. It could go any way. It just takes one or two overtakes to go slightly wrong or be a little bit too aggressive, and all of a sudden things can completely flip on their head in a moment. So I'm confident, but let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, we will see. So the order as it stands, of course, Team Shmee ahead, 2,952 points. We've got Team Malmedie on 2,642. So a couple of 100 points swing either way could bring Malmedie back into things. As far as Drivers' Championship is concerned, Keithy would have, you can see how desperate he was for that race win due to the Drivers' Championship, because, it was only a handful of points back to Högfeldt and Hasse. So now he stands at 413 points compared to Högfeldt's 398 and Hasse's 392. So still definitely within striking distance, especially given that all three of them will have to try and work their way through on this traffic. So it's going to be a case for each of the drivers is put as many cars between you and your closest competitors as is physically possible at this track.
Every overtake is going to count. Every single move is going to matter in this last race. Those three, knowing that they're playing for the championship and starting at the back three positions on the grid, I mean, they must be very, very nervous about how this is going to go when the lights are out and they're off on the move, because they've got to keep together. They've got to keep moving up. If you're Keith Lee at the back, you're watching the guys in front of you perhaps making some overtakes. He knows he has to make those overtakes as well, because let them get a few cars ahead, and all of a sudden that points gap is going to close very, very quickly.
Yep, it is. And, of course, as far as the prize money is concerned, of course, we've got prizes for the Drivers' Championship, prizes for the best team as well. So the best three drivers from the championship, so currently Keith Lee, Högfeldt and Hasse, they will get themselves prize money. So first is 3,000 euros, second is 1,500 euros, and third is 1,000 euros. We also got the prizes for the best teams. So drivers from the team with the most points will get themselves equal prize money. Drivers who have already received prize money, however, through the top three are excluded. So everyone other than the top three get themselves the share of the prize money. So in case Team Shmee are the ones that win today, so the 5,000 euros will just be distributed equally amongst the team. So that's a decent payday, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the bragging rights of winning now, is it? Here in the REMUS GT3 Championship, there's more to it for the guys, but it's exciting. It's exciting, I'm sure, for them, and it's fantastic for us to be able to watch and see such high level racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go before we get ourselves the gridding procedure underway for the final race of the championship. And, we've set everything up now. We've got ourselves the battle in the Drivers' Championship between Keith Lee, Högfeldt and Hasse. We've got the, if the situation works out more in the favour of Malmedie here, how many points are they going to be able to swing into their favour at the very end of this one? I'm super excited to get this one started. I don't know if it was as tense as the F1 final race, but I think we've got the next best thing.
I think it will be very hard for anything to ever be as tense as that particular race, and as tense and as confusing and as chaotic. But in this case, for example, I'm sitting here trying to judge what the points distribution is going to look at, trying to work out the top place drivers from each team, and there's a lot more to it. So I'm going to be eagerly anticipating when you can fire up some numbers and give us provisional standings and see how things look. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Doing that through the first couple of laps might be a bit tricky if everyone's just chopping and changing, and we'll see when the race control update those. But yeah, an absolutely crazy season thus far. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, Shmee, because of course, there's been points this season where you've had the advantage, and points where Malmedie have had a slight advantage as well, especially in those early portions of the season. How would you rate things so far?
Well, remember there was one point, of course, where after the round we had both teams completely level pegged on points, and that was certainly an almost kind of how is that possible? We've got so much at play in this. How do we manage to run things that are literally down to the wire? But as you say, Malmedie had the early lead through the first few rounds, and then Team Shmee pulled out a lead. It got a little bit closer at round 5, but here we are now into round 6. And this is really where it's all going to matter. This is what it comes down to.
It really does. This is, this this is go time for every single driver out there. Even if you're not one of the star performers from each team, maybe you're one of those drivers that are just barely getting the sort of the 8th place in the team sort of situation. That's still going to be very, very crucial. Just a handful of points either way could decide this one, and well, Team Malmedie are hoping they get a good amount of their cars inside the top 10 to give themselves the best chance possible here in this one. But it's a very, very big task here at Macau. The warm-up session has now drawn itself to a close. We are, for the final time, getting our grid set here in the REMUS GT3 Championship. It will be Marco Pajic on pole position. I said earlier that he could probably redeem himself in this race if he's able to come away with the race win, because of course he was the one that caused the huge track blockage at the start of race 1 that caught up a good few Malmedie cars in a bit of trouble, so that Team Shmee were able to get all over the back of them, get a couple of free positions as well. Hopefully nothing like that happens here today. Well, in this race, we're coming up to 20 seconds maximum to go, but we'll get that skipped over early. The final race of the REMUS GT3 Championship for 2021 is about to get itself underway. Team Malmedie have the advantage in the early portions of the race as we go racing for the final time here at Macau. Marco Pajic leads down in towards turn number 1. It will be Lucas Müller and Cristolu and Yarshel. Oh my god, we've seen a big instant towards the very back there. One of the Malmedie cars very, very heavily into the wall here at the start of lap number 1, as it was Sanyan Guinea, Peter Pilska, Florian Hasse, all Malmedie cars that have had issues at the very start, coming off the starting grid there, as we see Müller trying to defend from Yarshel, down into the right-hander. No, Müller, he noses it into the wall. That's crucial points for Malmedie wasted.
Wow, what a dramatic start again to the race. Obviously, Macau doing what Macau does with these close walls, keeping everything very tight. Everybody now, I suppose, starting to settle into positions, but we've seen a few retirees or heavy accidents already knocked out from this final round, while we try and get a picture of how things are looking.
Yeah, we've got, wheel to wheel as Pinces squeezing through over on Cristolu there, as Cristolu going very, very slow, just trying to let everyone by, it seems. Let's have a look and see where the likes of Jack Keithley, Florian Hasse are. So they are down in P21, P22, so that's Keithley and Hasse. Högfeldt, he's got himself a good amount of positions here on the start. He's up into 15th place already, and there's more positions further down the road as well. So Högfeldt trying to recover some points in the championship to make sure that he's the driver's champion at the very end of this one. Of course, we'll see how the points work out in a handful of moments' time, but he's gotten the best start of the 3 of them.
Yes, Högfeldt has really moved up the grid, and also Keithley's managed to jump ahead of Hasse as well. So that's, I think, probably one of the close battles to watch. It's going to be complicated to keep track of these guys. It's a long race. We've got 18 minutes to run. And things will change quite a lot between now and obviously the checkered flag. Oh, we've got multi-car pile-up. We lost a Team Malmedie car or two there.
Yeah, it was Malmedie again, and Pilska also involved in this one as well. I didn't quite see exactly who was the car that sort of was spun all the way around. I think it might have been Lucas Müller, because Müller's dropping all the way back down through the order now, and I think, well, there's the Corvette that's very heavily damaged. He was the one who had the incident through the first couple of turns, wasn't he? But it was indeed, I saw a Malmedie car spun in the middle of the road there, so a bit of deja vu, perhaps, with Malmedie cars spinning in the hairpins, and well, it doesn't cause as big of a track blockage that time around, but it's certainly something that doesn't help.
Sure, just trying to get a feel for how the grid is shaping up at the moment, and where are the closest races. I mean, you can see Keithley has quite an interval in front of him, so there's a long way to go. Start closing the gap on the cars above, and this is where Högfeldt's quick advantage, and we're looking 5 or 6 positions above. Oh, he's just done another one. Moved up again into P12. He's really making some solid progress here, and that might turn out to be absolutely key in the championship.
It could be, as this is just a trio of Malmedie cars all trying to fight in and amongst themselves here as Rachel tries to squeeze through on them. He might be able to get one done here through the winding right-hander. Oh, big impact with the wall there for the driver Garstner, but Garstner's still hanging in this one. He doesn't want to give this one up without a big fight. The Audi's still trying to sense its way down the inside, but not going to be successful there. So lots of troubles for Team Malmedie cars in this one. I'm having a look to see if we've gotten the points updated, and we have. It's close, but it's still Team Shmee ahead. So Team Shmee, 2,952 points. Team Malmedie, 2,917 points. So it's dropped down to from a couple of 100 points gap to a couple of tens of points gap in the championship.
I think the numbers there we've added to the Team Malmedie total, but it was the same figure for Team Shmee that we had after the previous race. Perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, look at that!
Oh, we got a pile up.
I was going to say, like, that. I don't know if that was really a pile-up, but it might have been Maximilian Paul just ahead of these, just slowing them all the way up through the hairpin, doing his best Perez impression from the previous weekend, trying to slow up all of these Team Shmee cars to try and give his teammates behind a chance to squeeze through. But he might have sort of written his own eulogy here, as he's got cars all over the back of him.
Keeping my eyes on the Bentley, knowing the speed they can pull down the straights. Running behind the Malmedie AMG there, looking for any opportunity. They are right on each other's tails.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and so just trying to find a line. It's the trickiest thing here at Macau, as they'll go wheel to wheel. Maximilian Paul and Julian Kunze. Oh, it all got a little bit too close to comfort for there. They're fanning out 3 wide in the background, though, heading their way down in towards turn number 3. And so this is the big contact point, and drivers do make contact. That wall, that tyre barrier on the left-hand side just jut out into the track, so you can't take as wide of an exit as you'd like. But everyone's still able to get themselves through on that somehow.
Lucas Müller, drive-through penalty.
Yeah, pit lane speeding, apparently, which is interesting considering, well, you don't do a pit stop here under normal circumstances, so he must have come down in for damage repair, and he's got that.
He did have quite the smash earlier. You could see the bonnet folded up on itself. Did not look in a happy state, so definitely needed a stop to get the car back into racing shape.
Maximilian Paul out into the wall once again, struggling to keep it on circuit, and now he's got Christopher Högfeldt behind him. Högfeldt going to the left-hand side, swinging around and through. Högfeldt with the stellar pass, as it still all stacks up everyone behind. Everyone's absolutely nose to tail with no room to maneuver, and Maximilian Paul giving up the position to his teammate there of Krippner.
Yeah, we saw both Ottaviani and Högfeldt making it through past Paul there, and obviously Krippner coming through as well. And the interesting thing I think now is that Högfeldt is really opening up a big gap over Keithley. He's 8 positions ahead, and that's going to have a very big impact in the championship standings. Oh, we've got a crash on the exit there.
Yeah, we do, and well, it's Maximilian Paul again, causing a couple of issues for a couple of these mid-pack runners. Big send down the inside there. Maximilian Paul going for moves on his teammates now, and there's car in the wall ahead, and trying to find who that is. We have to cycle it down. It was Emre Can having a big moment in the Corvette, sacrifices a whole bunch of positions. He's down into P20. More lost points for Team Malmedie. I'm seeing the points slowly get themselves updated. It was, like you pointed out, slightly well, pretty inaccurate last time I said them. So hopefully we can get accurate points here in just a couple of moments' time. Here's Ottaviani and Christopher Högfeldt, though. Högfeldt heading his way down the inside, putting yet more cars in between himself and Keithley and Hasse. So Högfeldt, he's doing a stellar job to try and chase this championship. Let's have a look then back to Jack Keithley, as he's a little bit stuck behind Peter Pilsker at the moment. Hasn't quite been able to find his way through. Still in that P15 spot at the moment. Hasse directly behind him, P16. So those are the two top contenders from race number 1. Struggling a little bit more here in race 2 than the likes of Christopher Högfeldt. They're going to need to get going and pretty quickly if they want to try and make themselves a little bit more secure as far as Drivers' Championship is concerned. I wonder if those points have been updated at the moment, and they have. So currently, as it stands, Högfeldt leads the championship by 20 points. With coming up to, well, we're less than 11 minutes to go now, less than 11 minutes, coming up towards the halfway point in the race. The Drivers' Championship has been turned on its head with a great performance so far in race number 2 from Christopher Högfeldt. So he's got himself, well, the best of the run of things at the moment, and, well, he'll soon be able potentially to take the Drivers' Championship, but it all depends on how this last 10 minutes goes. It's going to be quite a pressure-filled situation here, these last 10 minutes, and well, we've got ourselves, well, for the race lead, Pajic, well, he's on his redemption arc at the moment. He's got himself 3.5 seconds ahead of Tim Yarshall, so looking likely for the race win today in the final race of the season. I say likely because you can never take anything for certain in motorsports and in sim racing as well. We've got a close battle for P3 as well, though, between Rodriguez and Pinces. So that's a Team Malmedie versus Team Shmee battle going on there for P3. And, well, further down the order, you have the likes of Jack Keithley now coming up on a bit of Malmedie traffic. And, well, now he's been able to find his way down the right-hand side, driver's right-hand side of Peter Pilsker now. So, finally, he might be able to squeeze his way through on Pilsker, but Pilsker takes the back end. Keithley grazes the wall, dealing with a bit of lap traffic at the same time as well as this. But Keithley, that could have been a huge incident for Keithley. He's got himself a bit of damage to the front end as well, which is from that entire situation, but hopefully for his sake and his championship's sake, it's not affecting him too much, but you never want to see a Bentley that punched in at the front end. Sparks fly as they head their way through the middle sector here at Macau. Keithley still in this race, and well, Högfeldt a bit further down the road. This is about as far up, I think, as Högfeldt might be able to get to, because he's in 7th place, but the next car down the road is about 14 seconds down the road. So I don't think Högfeldt can, well, really has any hope of getting any more points in this race too, Shmee, because he's got a gargantuan gap to the car ahead of him. So now this is all on Keithley and Hasse to try and see how far up the field they can get.
It is quite the interval, isn't it? 14 seconds, as you say, with only 8 minutes of racing time is going to be a challenge to close up. Keithley is running right on the back of Gassner there, so it's going to be a an interesting race to see that. And obviously we've got Hassan just a few seconds behind. But this is really what it's going to come down to at the moment. Hoogveld is six positions up on Keithley. Keithley has a pretty closely packed grid between himself and Hoogveld. If he can get a few more positions, going to stay close in the points, and that will potentially give him the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, potentially. We do have updated team points as well. So Team Shmee 3,214, Team Malmedie 3,153. So Team Shmee still hold the advantage here, and it might be helped out by this pass that Keithley's trying to attempt over Mark Garsner for positions further down the order for P12. And, well, Keithley unsuccessful in trying to squeeze through at the moment. Of course, he has his Drivers' Championship to be concerned about as well. Looking further up through the field, of course, we have a close situation just inside the top 10 here between Ottaviani, Carton and Kunze, as well as more Team Shmee cars look to try and pull off passes over the Malmedie cars. And, well, with just under 7 minutes to go, this is looking okay for Team Shmee, but I guess he's still got the Christian Horner foot tapping going on.
Literally, you can see me. No, I was hearing the numbers, obviously, as you just said it. The temporary, the grid or the points as it stands, and obviously the gap at the end of the previous race to the live standing now has closed up significantly. So there's still a lot in the balance. All it takes is a couple of major position changes, and everything can be flipped on its head. Just watching at the moment, obviously, as you said, Hoogveld has already closed up in just about 2 minutes of driving, that gap from 14 seconds to 11. So you never know, he might be on the back of Pfeiffer as we get towards the end of the race, and it'll be interesting to see, whether he can manage it. Although I say that, he's just dropped a couple of seconds. Must have had a slightly slower section of track. Keithley's still down in P13, but running right on the back of a couple of cars ahead. So there's everything to play for still at this stage.
It really is. It's going to be all about how many cars can Keithley pass in about 5.5 minutes. That's the situation here, and Macau's not really a circuit designed for all that much overtaking, so it's going to be a very, very tough task for Jack Keithley to do. Mental maths while commentating and producing is not my strong point, so I would try to calculate how many positions he does need to gain to be able to get himself ahead at the moment. But for Jack Keithley, P13 is not enough at this stage. Although I say that, there's some little situations here in the points that I'm seeing being edited now. Oh, there we go. That's one position out of the way for Jack Keithley.
Yeah, perhaps not the way he would have intended the overtake, but hey, it's happened. So where are we? Hoogveld is P7, Keithley is P12.
That's another position for Jack Keithley, squeezing through on Carton. Carton leads on the back of him. 2 positions in quite quick succession for Jack Keithley. That's better. That'll put him close, if not slightly ahead. Yeah. I'm not sure what the calculations are. I think
Hoogveld will gain 37 points for a P7. Keithley will gain 29 points for a P11. I believe that is not enough to give Hoogveld the championship. It would fall to Keithley if that's the way they finish.
Yeah, so that's what we're seeing as well. We've got Julian Kunze, who's the Team Shmee car further down the road. I guess they won't want to be... Well, they pull out of the way of Keithley, just the faster car. They will pull out of the way of Keithley. Not being Hoogveld's best friend there is Kunze, but either way, Keithley up into P10 now, and that surely should be enough. So maybe the tension was a bit short-lived.
Yeah, 31 points would be his tally for finishing in P10, if that's where he can manage to hold. Obviously Hoogveld, as we were discussing, has slightly closed that gap up again on P6, but running quite a long way back. So I think at this stage it's a an endurance test, right, for the drivers to see if they can see it out, to get through to the end and cross the line. And obviously so many different things at stake, but at the moment it is Keithley's championship to lose.
It is, and well, as a result of those passes that Keithley was able to pull off, that's more points going the way of Team Shmee as well. So it helps the team out in this situation as well. Kunze keeping himself ahead of these two Team Malmedie cars, excuse me, further back through the order. So right now, things going well for Keithley, going well for Team Shmee as a whole. We still got this close run thing for P3 though, between Rodriguez, Pinces, Dornaden and Pfeiffer. So it's Shmee, Malmedie in that order. Not sure if any combination of these will be able to influence the championship so much, but we've got ourselves 2.5 minutes left to go, and Rodriguez leads this train.
So I'm definitely now quietly confident. Quietly confident of the team, but I don't want to overstep the mark, because I think 2.5 minutes before the end of the big race on Sunday, you might have had a different expectation of the championship outcome. So let's let's sit back and see how this evolves.
Yeah, we will indeed see, as well. It's been a crazy season, and a crazy final couple of races in some respects as well, as the dying moments of this second race happening right now. We're going to be coming onto the final lap pretty soon, if not now. There is Marko Pejic heading his way through. That's coming down the straights at the very end of the lap. Yes, it is. So this is going to be the start of the final lap then for Marko Pejic. He's been all on his own at the very front of the field. For the driver that caused that track blockage in race 1, it's been plain sailing for race 2. And, well, he'll hopefully, if he gets his way through on this last lap, end up scoring maximum for Team Malmedie here, but I don't think he'll be enough. The points gap is just still so large. So unless there's a huge apocalyptic event on this final lap, I think Shmee might just get it.
My fingers and toes are all crossed. We're very shortly to be heading into the last minute of the 20. This at the moment, we have a bit of an alternating grid, don't we? We've got the colours hopping back and forth between green and blue wherever you look through the standings at the moment, but everybody kind of settled. I think at this stage there's a lot of keep it going to the end, keep it flowing, keep it smooth, keep it away from the walls. We're now into the last 40 seconds.
Yeah, so keep it clean, everyone. Keep it on circuit, and we should be good for the end of this event. This is the battle for P3 that you're watching right now, or rather, it's a train of 4 cars for P3, led by Manuel Rodriguez at the moment, and he's pulling a gap here, coming through this tighter section. So it's well, not looking likely that Pinces will be able to get this position done. But one mistake, that's all it takes. One mistake, a little back end slide out. Maybe that'll then have to be overcorrected, and then you don't have room to really correct here at this circuit, so then you find a wall. That's how easy things can go wrong here at Macau. But neat and tidy through these sections at the moment for all 4 of these cars in this battle for P3. The time has indeed expired right now. Pejic is heading his way through the, out of the hairpin and coming up towards the final couple of corners of the lap. So Pejic in the Malmedie Porsche, looking pretty good at the end of this event. But as far as points are concerned, it is Keithley leading the Drivers' Championship. It is Team Shmee leading the Teams' Championship. And, well, unless there's a huge moment here at the very end, that's going to be the way it is at the checkered flag, as there it is. Marko Pejic heads his way across the line to win the final round of the season. Pejic from Team Malmedie scores maximum, but that's not the main story here today. There's Rodriguez heading his way across the line for P3, but we'll cycle things back and have a look at the British driver of the Team Shmee Bentley. He's going to be heading his way through towards the final corner now, and he will be the driver's champion for the RaceRoom Esports GT, on RaceRoom here, of course, in the REMUS GT3 Championship. It is Jack Keithley that comes away with the Drivers' Championship win. A bit of a wiggle across the line. And with that, here in the REMUS GT3 Championship, it is Team Shmee that takes the head-to-head battle.
This is where I've got the Christian Horner style double fist pump celebrating. It was very, very good of Ottaviani to let Keithley through there just to gain that one extra position, the extra points, secure it in the bag. make sure that it's absolutely locked in. But fabulous, fabulous effort from the entire team. They've driven really well in this round, and yeah, did what was needed.
Yeah, and a little bit of celebration going on, and congratulations going on between the team members here at the very end of the race. There's Pajic in the Malmedie Porsche heading his way through, working his way through. But there's the unofficial order. Of course, we do have to confirm things with the race administrators. They need to go through and apply their penalties and some such. But either way, it's Keithley winning the Drivers' Championship, Team Shmee winning the head-to-head Teams Championship at the end of 6 rounds of racing, 12 races to be exact. And, well, it's as close as you like, especially at some points over the course of the season, being level coming into the penultimate round of the season, being within a couple of things being touch and go at some point over the course of this event as well. It's as close as you like, but in the end, it is Team Shmee, and of course, I have the wonderful man himself here as well. At least right now, provisionally, you are the team's champions. You said, like you said, double fist bump from Christian Horner.
Exactly.
Have you got a T-shirt? Have you got a T-shirt saying?
No, I don't. I don't. But from going into that last round of the championship, obviously with just 21 points separating the two teams, that really could have gone anywhere. But the Team Shmee drivers have put in a fantastic effort. Huge congratulations to Jack Keithley. Huge congratulations to the entirety of the team on pulling off a fantastic result. They've got in there. They've done everything they needed to do, and they've really brought it home to the finish line and secured the best that anybody could have hoped for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fantastic effort from both teams, from all of the drivers, even the guest drivers that we've had as well. Putting in some good efforts from time to time. It's been absolutely crazy, and of course, the current points are that Keithley wins the Drivers' Championship with 446 points. Closest competitor is Högfeldt with 435. Then you've got Florian Hasse on 419. So that's the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship. So right now, they are getting themselves prize money. So for Jack Keithley, it will be 3,000 euros. For Högfeldt, it'll be 1,500, and for Hasse, it's 1,000 euros. And currently, the 5,000 euros will be shared in amongst the winning team members of Team Shmee. So that's the situation there. So. And as far as the exact team points, it was 3,214 to Shmee, and it was 3,151 to Team Malmedie at the very end there. So that's the current order, of course, pending steward's review and some such. I don't want to be a killjoy with saying that, but I don't think there's going to be any situation that changes the results here. So
doesn't that just show you how close it is, though, that it came right down to only 63 points?
Yeah.
With over 3,000 per team. That has been quite the championship, remarkably close. Every little bit of driving, that's almost just one P1 position rather than an accident, 55 points for a race win. It really has been right down to the wire, but the guys have made it happen. So, hey, well done to all of them.
And you got to say that the main crucial moment today was the track blockage in the first couple of laps of race 1. That really threw a lot of points in the bin for Team Malmedie, and of course that race start from race number 2 as well. If those two situations happened a bit differently, then we could be talking about a different outcome here. But as always in motorsports, it's the what ifs.
Yes, it always is. It always is, and we've seen the perfect example of that. Obviously today with the changes in the positions in the final standings. And, I'm over the moon for the guys. It's a hugely exciting thing. We've been obviously running this championship over the last couple of months, and now we've had the final races. We'll just wait for the final scores to confirm everything, but it's good. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is incredible. And, we got to say thank you to REMUS for putting the name onto this championship as well. It's been fantastic to see the support from those guys. Again, from RaceRoom themselves as well. Lots of people from that side working on this event as well. And it couldn't really couldn't happen without them. And of course, you know, we've got more to come, because this is the last competition here in 2021. Heading into 2022, there might be some things on the horizon with regards to RaceRoom Esports that's going to be incredibly exciting. But more about that in the new year. But before we wrap things up here, Shmee, is there really anything you want to say? Anything you want to say to the viewers or your team? You know, what's the situation?
I think just really exciting for everybody who's taken part on both teams, all of Team Malmedie and all of Team Shmee. Congratulations to everyone. It's been a fantastic championship. And of course, thank you to everyone who has joined in, supporting, watching, being part of this. It's been really exciting to have everybody along for the journey as well, and to be part of some fantastic races, some amazing circuits, to bring everybody and have everybody part of it.
Yeah, it has been great. So, you know, since we had that first round at Spa-Francorchamps and the great racing that we had in the 2 races there, we sort of knew that this season was going to be pretty bonkers. And with the final 2 rounds at Bathurst and Macau, you know, 2 of the trickiest tracks in motorsport, it was always going to be a pretty spicy affair towards the end. But well, Team Shmee have come out with the W. Team, with Jack Keithley taking the Drivers' Championship, and that's going to be all that we have time for here, or at least on the English stream, for the REMUS GT3 Championship. Thank you, everyone, very much for tuning in, for watching, not only for this race, if you've been around since the start of the season as well. Thank you very much for your support. Congratulations to Shmee, as his team has taken the head-to-head win. Congratulations to Jack Keithley as well for taking the Drivers' Championship. But with that, we will have to say goodbye.